Hey everybody, welcome back to part 3 of this really big pick of machinist tools that I got out of a machine shop that was located in a residence, and the property was being sold off and they had closed the operations. They had hired a company to liquidate everything that was in there. So this is actually part 3 of a 3-part series. If you haven't seen parts 1 and 2, feel free to check those out. This is a Bridgeport brand boring head. Looks like it's in pretty decent shape. So the Bridgeport heads, they always mark them over here on this surface. So this is a Bridgeport number 2. It's got an R8 shank, and there's a few goodies in there to go with it. These are the, a lot of people find these in the wild and don't know what they are, but these are actually the holders for these Bridgeport heads so that you can use lathe tooling ground to your liking. Sometimes people find these and they actually mistake them for like fly cutters, but you can see from the angle that's built into them, it's not the case. You can also use this with obviously regular standard boring bars, like on a regular boring head. And the Bridgeports are the only ones that I tend to find that came with these nice metal cases to carry them in. This is like one of the only large screw jacks that I found on the whole premises. So this is a 1 1/4 by 4, and it's a simplex, which is kind of nice. I knew quite a few people had been through and already picked this site, so I was just constantly surprised when I would stumble upon something that was kind of just hidden in a corner or in a dark area of the shop. And case in point would be this machinist square, this nice wooden case. And the best surprise of all about it is that it is a Starrett number 20. This is the largest number 20 that I've ever encountered. But this is a 15-inch Starrett number 20. So it's in great shape. It's got this little bit of staining here that'll clean off easy. But I don't see any dings in the blade. Looks like it was well cared for. If we had one knock against it, it would be that it was engraved down here. The RTC department, blah, 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 tool room. I guess that's where they kept this. Maybe somebody could tell me, did the old Starrett squares come with these wooden cases like this? Because I see a lot of them in cases, and I always wondered whether or not this was like an original Starrett case. How you would tell, as opposed to just somebody making something. But I mean, somebody went through a lot of trouble to make this case just for this, so I have a feeling this might be actually from Starrett this way. In part 2, I showed all those Taft Pierce V-blocks that I scored, and I mentioned how they were all in one cabinet. And it was surprising how much weight that cabinet was holding, because also in that cabinet were some of these grinding fixtures I'm going to show you. Let's start out with this one right here. So this is a Magna sign by the Omer E. Robbins Company of Detroit, Michigan. So if this were a Taft Pierce or a Suburban tool, it would be quite an expensive item. That being said, this is still a really nicely made tool, very usable. It's still got the original fences attached to it, which often go missing. Precision ground, bottom looks perfect. I'm shaking the whole table with the camera on it. so it's actually off right now. This is sticking a little bit because I guess there's residual magnetism you're dealing with there. But the idea is I can move this around. And then when I put the magnet on with this lever, there we go. That's on. Now, you can see that's significantly stronger. I can almost pick this up. That's how strong that magnet is in there. So it's like a magnetic chuck for your surface grinder, but it's also a built-in sine plate. So what we've got is we've got this cylinder here that comes in contact with this precision ground flat surface right here. And you would put your correct size gauge block in here and close it up. And that would set the angle of this surface to this surface precisely. I like that somebody put a little piece of rubber in there to kind of keep those surfaces not in contact with each other when it's in storage. And also keeps it from getting kind of shocked or damaged if you close it too fast. Here's a couple more precision grinding jigs that I found in the cabinet, and this one right here, this one's really got a nice hand scraped surface to it. It's got a built-in fence. It is another sine plate. So again, we got this precision surface right here and the cylinder up here. You're going to put your gauge block in there and set this angle. It's marked on the inside here that this is Bald Eagle Tool Company of St. Paul, Minnesota. I wasn't able to find out too much about them on the internet, but it seems like it's really nicely made. It's in great shape. No case for it. So this looks like it was designed so you get a T-slot here for T-nuts for hold downs, or you've also got these tapped holes here. So it's interesting. This one is kind of sweet. Again, it's another sine. It's almost like a sine vise by design here. So we can unlock this and move this jaw forward. So what happens is you loosen this screw to get your rough adjustment there, and then once you're up against the part, you then would turn this screw, which will cause this to put downward force and clamping force on whatever part is in here. So I kind of like that. It's kind of a neat design. And then the sine function works the same way. We've got a precision surface in here. And this thing is made by the J&S Tool Company of Livingston, New Jersey. Which these I actually was able to find, I think, on eBay. That some of these have sold in the past. So it's a nice little jig. I think I've mentioned in the past that I really shy away from buying Vernier calipers anymore because they just don't bring as much money as they used to. But this one was a brown and sharp. And what I liked about it was, unlike a lot of the really old ones, it's got this satin chrome area where you can read the numbers a lot more easily. And so that's a model 571. At this point, the pile was so large, I knew that this was going to just kind of not make much of a difference on price. This was engraved cutter department, tool room. And then also, here's another Vernier. Again, normally wouldn't bother, but this was something I hadn't seen before. This is a Mitutoyo Vernier caliper. Nice satin chrome finish. It's in great shape. It says stainless and hardened. It's in the original case. Even has the little booklet here explaining to you that this is the quadri 4-way measurement. And actually, I'm now just realizing this is not what this is. So, yeah, so sure enough, for depth, it would have had a rod built into it, like dial calipers often do. And this one has the inside jaws are here, as opposed to having a second set of jaws sticking out of the top. So this is actually not the quadri 4-way measurement calipers. Next up, I found this case with this nice live center set. So what we've got is we've got a most likely a Morse taper live center made by this company Bruckner, Bruckner, which I've never heard of. It does seem to turn freely. Sounds good. But what's neat about this is instead of just being a live center with just the point, we've got several different accessories here. We got a couple of different live center points. We've got one with an open end on it. We've got this here, which would be good for holding like the end of an open cylinder. And this here for holding something with a taper on the end. So this is Carl Bruckner and Company made this thing. Germany. Oh, no wonder why I haven't heard of it. Although I've heard of Albert. This was also in the cabinet with all the other grinding vices and sine plates and everything. And this just said Mag angle vise on it. And I couldn't see what was in it. It was so much stuff piled on top of it. So I cleared enough stuff out, got it out on the ground, opened it up, and saw this. And I went, ooh, doesn't that look interesting? And one of the clues to what this was it says magnetic chuck type number FX0703. which I later found out is actually a part number. But the interesting thing about this, which I'll get to in a moment, let me get this out on the bench and show you. This is probably by far the heaviest one of these things that I bought out there. So it's another magnetic chuck. So I'll give you a look from the side here. And then in the back here we have the manufacturer's label. So what we're looking at is a Darwin's Fimax or Fimax, made in England by Darwin's Limited of Sheffield. And then right here it says type FX0703, which is exactly what it said on the inside of the lid there, right? But the thing's clean as a whistle. You can see it's beautifully made. We've got a line scribed here with a 0 on each side, so you can set the angle there. Can't quite get this to lift up right now, but I can see that underneath here there's definitely a place where it looks like you might be able to put an angle block. So in addition to being able to set the angle on the plate this way, you also have this ability to set the angle this way. So it's almost like a compound angle you can set. That must be in reference to this surface, which is machined. Nice looking surface there. And this bottom surface also. So it looks like this could be set up on the table also this way. These are a couple of little hold downs that were in there, but they don't even look like they belong on this at all. So I might have a viewer or two over there across the pond who might know this name really well. I don't know. It would have to be one of those things that, it's too bad, because this is the kind of thing that I could probably sell for some decent money over there in England, and I just don't know whether or not I'm going to be able to do much with it here. Not to mention the fact that this thing weighs a bloody ton. Oh. All right, the contents of this bucket is the remainder of what I picked that day, and there's a lot of really small stuff in here that came out of like toolbox drawers and stuff like that, and all the little small items. I didn't really have any boxes with me, so they let me have this pail and I put it all in here. So let's clear off the bench and start picking through this pile. Here's a nice 18-inch Starrett satin chrome blade. This would be nice to go with that combination square that I showed earlier. Alright, so I got some more of these screw jacks. This is a very common style I run into a lot. There must have been, I swear back in the day, there must have been plans for this screw jack that were included in like Popular Mechanics or something, because they are very crude, homemade, shop-made deals, and I just run into them all the time. Just have a couple of oopsies in them. This is a nice looking little V-block. It's got a kind of a Taft Pierce look to it, and I think it might be. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. That's a little itty bitty Taft Pierce. Got to get the light to hit it just right to see it. It's even got the little hold downs on it. So this is an adapter for a boring head, to adapt your boring head to R8. It's funny, it says Grand Teterboro, New Jersey, and then right below it says Made in Germany. So I guess Grand Teterboro must be the company that imported it, maybe? It says R8, that's the easy part, but it doesn't tell me what that's supposed to thread into. There were a whole bunch of old tapping heads there, the old Procurnier style, and I've got several of those. So when I decide I want to sell any of them, I'll have plenty to sell already. And they don't tend to bring too much money, but these style here, but this style right here tends to do pretty well. Typically it's the like the X10 or whatever they call it there, but this one's an Enco, so I think this is a knockoff. And the other thing about it is I'm not even sure whether or not it's working. So the way this should work, if it's working correctly, is when I turn it in the direction to run the tap, this goes in the same direction. But then when you lift up, the threaded tap will want to stay behind, so that will allow this to draw out like this. And when I do that, what actually is happening is it's reversing direction, and it is. So I was trying to turn backwards. Can't really do it without it mounted in the machine to demonstrate it, but it is actually working correctly. So that's the good news. And then the other thing it should have is going in this direction, it should have a like a clutch that will allow it to start slipping before it snaps the tap. Speaking of snapping the tap, that looks like a snapped off tap that's in there. Alright, so I was able to get the broken tap out of there, and when I hold this with a wrench and I try and turn this, it doesn't slip at all. So I think the clutch is just set too far advanced. So to adjust the clutch on these, you rotate this ring right here, but it wouldn't move, but apparently it has this locking screw right here. So you have to unlock it first, and then, which makes sense, that way it won't change. So back this off. Now let's see if we can't get this to slip the way it's supposed to, so it doesn't snap taps on us. Yeah, there we go. Now it's slipping. Okay, so I think this is a working tap head. Alright, so in this box, this is a Starrett trammel point set. This is again the kind that goes on the wooden stick. And then this is actually a Brown & Sharp trammel point set. It's an 845, and it's in really great shape. Even comes with an envelope that contains some extra points. And what's kind of cool to me is there's actually a date right inside the box here. April 22nd, 1947. So that's a pretty cool piece there. And then I found these rods in that same box, toolbox that I found this in. And I thought maybe they were extension rods for this, but they're actually too large. But these definitely look like trammel point set rods for a maybe a Starrett or some other set. These have no markings on them, but that's not unusual. In fact, maybe the other parts to this are even down at the bottom of that box, that bucket. Oh, great. I found the other Taft Pierce V-block. So that's probably a pair. It might even be a matched pair. I'll have to check the numbers on that later. Here's more of these brooches. I knew I had a lot more brooches that I had scored there. And these are all the brooches that I grabbed were all square brooches. All different sizes. They all appear to be Dumont. This is way back in like part 1 of this series. I found this one, I think. And I was like, where are the other ones? Well, there they are. All right. These funny little things here that look like little miniature vices. These are what are called tool maker's clamps. So these are Starrett 160s. Brown & Sharp also made a version of this. But these are really handy. And I think originally when you bought these, they came in a box with an extra jaw that you could take this jaw off and put a different jaw on. But lots of times you just find them in the wild like this. And sometimes there's no jaw on there because they went missing. Don't remember what's in this old box. Oh, probably a Starrett 246 by the looks of it. Another shaper planer gauge. I think the last one of these I had, I only got like 20 bucks for it. Yeah, 246. It's got the two extension posts in there, which has got that going for it, but again, just they can be handy, but they just don't bring much money anymore. Here's two Starrett 284 thread gauges, and this is one of these little SPI caliper accessories. So these are these little round cylinders with points on them, and they've got grub screws that allow you to basically clamp these onto the jaws of your calipers, your dial calipers, and then you can now use your dial calipers to do measurements between two holes, for instance. So it's a handy little thing. Another Albrecht chuck, keyless chuck. This one's on a Morse taper. It's dirty, but it's in good shape.